Squid Game comes to an end with its third season, so if it's been a while since you watched the first two, or haven't seen them at all but want to get in on the action, here's what you need to know before the final moves are made. Squid Game very rarely does flashbacks, so we never really get to see the origins of the show's life and death versions of playground games for adults in the first two seasons. But we do hear about them. From No-eul, the elderly player who, for real, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, is revealed at the end of the first season to have, along with his business clients, created the whole endeavor back in 1988. He admits as he dies from a brain tumor that he based a competition on the games he used to play as a child.
What could we all do to finally have some fun?
Logbooks that a police officer, Jun-ho, finds while covertly investigating the island where the games are played reveal that the competition has been going on for decades. Jun-ho's brother, In-ho, played and won in 2015. At one point, In-ho explains that his wife had cirrhosis during pregnancy, and he had to borrow money from a client to pay for a liver transplant.
It wasn't a bribe, but it looked like it. So I got in trouble and was fired from my job.
Out of desperation, In-ho joined the game. For reasons that'll become clear, his story could be a lie, but it seems to be at least somewhat true. Sometime between 2015 and 2020, In-ho becomes part of the organization that runs the games. He takes on the job of the frontman who runs the whole show. In 2011, an auto worker named Gi-hun was laid off after 16 years on the job. He and other workers went on strike to protest the layoffs, leading to police beatings. Gi-hun watched one of his co-workers get beaten to death in front of him after running a restaurant that failed. Gi-hun started working as a chauffeur in around 2015. By 2020, Gi-hun is very much down on his luck. He's mostly estranged from his ex-wife and daughter. He owes more than 400 million won to the bank and to loan sharks. He gambles what money he has, which he stole from his mother, and gets pickpocketed when he wins. His mother, with whom he lives, has been diagnosed with diabetes, and Gi-hun can't pay for her treatment. So when a recruiter approaches him in a subway station and challenges him to a game of Ppopgi, where the winner of each round gets 100,000 won, he accepts. Only thing is, he doesn't have the money to pay up with when he loses.
How about you use your body to pay?
A what?
Gi-hun loses many rounds and wins a few. The recruiter makes him an offer to play in an even higher stakes game, giving him a business card. Gi-hun's mother reminds him that his ex may move to the US with their daughter, hoping to keep his daughter in his life. Gi-hun calls the number on the card. He's picked up by a van, in which he's gassed as he's taken, unconscious, to the remote island where the games are played. Gi-hun wakes up in a large dormitory wearing a green tracksuit with the number 456 on it. He discovers, thanks to a masked pink-suited guard's explanation, that he's one of 456 players in a competition for a considerable amount of money. The players are given the choice to opt out of the games, but they all sign contracts to play. Among them are one of Gi-hun's childhood friends, Song-woo, the old man, Il-nam, who is player 1, the pickpocket who stole from Gi-hun just the day before, Sae-byuk, a tattooed gangster, Jong Doksu, and plenty more people who are in tremendous debt. All 456 players are brought to a large arena where they play a game they all remember from the playground, red light, green light. The instructions are called out by a large robotic doll, which also has motion sensors that can detect if players move on a red light. The players quickly discover the consequences if they do so. They are shot and killed. A panic erupts, leading to 255 of the players being eliminated by dying in the very first game. Gi-hun only barely survives. After the red light, green light game, the guard reveals that the prize money is 100 million won per player, so there's a possible 45.6 billion won, about $32.6 million at stake, to be split among whoever is left at the end. Even so, lots of the remaining players asked to be sent back home, having seen the stakes of the game.
Just keep your damn money, I don't care!
Song-woo remembers a clause from the contract that stated if a majority of players vote to leave, they can. So the guards set up a voting station where the players can choose to stay and continue playing for the money or leave empty-handed. An X vote means end the games. An O vote means continue. The players choose to leave by just one vote, with the deciding vote coming from Il-nam. Everyone returns to their lives, still with all the debts they had before. They're told that they can come back to the games after a few days if they decide to do so. Gi-hun and Sae-byuk are unceremoniously dumped on the street on the mainland in their underwear. Having seen so many people brutally die in the red light, green light game, Gi-hun goes to the police to report the organization that runs the games. They have doubts about his story.
You don't know what they look like or where this all took place? Is that everything, mister?
Yeah.
In hopes of offering proof, Gi-hun hands over the business card the recruiter gave him. But when one of the officers tries to call the number on it, a woman who claims to know nothing about any games answers and calls the officer a pervert. Gi-hun gets thrown out of a police station. But one officer who happens to overhear Gi-hun's accusations is Jun-ho, whose brother In-ho has recently gone missing. Jun-ho finds a copy of the card Gi-hun gave the cops at his brother's apartment. Gi-hun goes home and finds that his mother isn't there. While searching for her, he runs into Song-woo, who admits to being 6 billion won in debt, having used his mother's house and shop as collateral for some bad investments. Gi-hun finally finds his mother at the hospital. Her diabetes has gotten so bad that her feet may have to be amputated. She leaves, refusing treatment because she and Gi-hun have no money to pay for it. Gi-hun tries to get a loan or a job from his old friend, Park Jung-bae, who owns a bar, but Jung-bae can't afford to pay him. Gi-hun goes to a convenience store where he talks to Il-nam. The old man makes a sly argument for returning to the games.
What they say is true. Out here, the torture is worse.
With nowhere else to turn, Gi-hun asks his ex-wife and her husband for money. They agree to pay him, but only on the condition that he cut off all contact with his daughter. Infuriated by the condition, Gi-hun leaves and encounters Jun-ho, who asks him about the card and the games. Gi-hun lies and says he made his story up. Ultimately, Gi-hun and nearly all the other players return to the islands to continue the games. Jun-ho secretly follows and disguises himself as a guard. Se-byuk covers her mouth while the gas is administered, so she's conscious during the return trip. Upon waking up in the living quarters once again, Gi-hun forms an alliance with Song-woo, Il-nam, another player named Ali Abdul. The players are all taken to a room that looks like a playground. They're asked to line up in front of one of 4 doors with symbols of a circle, a star, a triangle, and an umbrella on them. Gi-hun's group decides that they should each choose a different symbol. Gi-hun ends up with the umbrella. The game ends up being one where each player has to remove the shape they've chosen from a wafer of dalgona, or honeycomb candy, within 10 minutes without breaking the shape. Anyone who fails is shot. The umbrella is by far the hardest of these, and Gi-hun struggles until he comes up with a strategy of licking the wafer to strategically make parts of it softer. Others see Gi-hun using this strategy and adopt it too. It helps quite a few, including Gi-hun, get through. Of the 187 players who returned, 79 get eliminated in the Ppopgi game. One eliminated player takes a guard hostage, forcing him to unmask. The player is killed, and the frontman then kills the young unmasked guard.
Remember, once they find out who you are, you die.
A fight over food ends with Doksu killing another player. Gi-hun begs the guards to do something about it, but all that happens is the player counter drops by 1 and some money gets added to the prize pot. Realizing that any player death is an elimination, Doksu and his cohort organize an attack in the night, resulting in 27 deaths. The guards only intervene when Il-nam shouts for it to stop. Gi-hun and his group protect Se-byuk during the attack, and she joins the alliance. They all exchange their real names, except for Il-nam, who says he can't remember his. The players are herded into a room where they're told to form groups of 10 for a tug-of-war game where the losing team will fall off a raised platform to their deaths. Gi-hun's team finds the 5 people they need for a group of 10, but they're discouraged because they lack the raw strength other teams have. Il-nam explains that power isn't the only factor in tug-of-war. He lays out what had been a winning strategy for him in the past.
You have to hold your ground. You should lean back, practically lie down.
The strategy, plus some quick thinking from Song-woo, helps Gi-hun's team win their match. The tug-of-war game eliminates half of the remaining players, leaving just 40. Behind the scenes, a rogue group of guards have been working with one player, a disgraced doctor, to harvest organs from players to sell on the black market. In exchange for the work, the doctor gets extra food and advanced knowledge of the games.
Tell me now. The next game, what is it?
After tug-of-war, the doctor harvests organs from some still living players, while a large group of guards, including the disguised Jun-ho, watches. The doctor gets agitated and demands to know what the next game will be. When he's told the guards don't know, the doctor takes one of the guards hostage. A fight breaks out and the doctor kills the guard. He then runs into the arena from the Ppopgi game. The leader of the organ harvesting ring nearly kills the doctor, but they're interrupted by the frontman, who tells the ringleader before killing him that he took away the most important part of the games, equality.
Here, every player gets to play a fair game under the same conditions. These people suffered from inequality and discrimination out in the world.
The guards then kill the doctor and hunt down everyone who had been involved in the organ harvesting ring. They find that everyone is dead except Jun-ho, who sneaks off to investigate records of the games. On the way to the next game, the players are shown the bodies of the participants in the organ harvesting ring and told that the games are meant to be fair. They're then instructed to pair up and taken to an arena that looks like a residential neighborhood, where they're told to play marble games of their choice. The player who takes all 10 marbles from their partner is the winner. Inevitably, almost everyone pairs up with their closest friends. Se-byuk faces Ji-young, whom she befriended in the Tug-of-war game. They exchange life stories, and Ji-young decides Se-byuk has more to live for, so she sacrifices herself. Song-woo tricks Ali into giving up his marbles. Gi-hun and Il-nam are a team, and Il-nam seems to have an episode of dementia, allowing Gi-hun to take all but one of his marbles. Il-nam eventually reveals he knew what was going on the whole time, and gives Gi-hun his last marble, calling him his gong-boo, or trusted friend.
Thank you. You made all this a good experience.
Gi-hun hears a gunshot as he walks away and believes that Il-nam is dead. With the games reaching their final stage, a group of golden masked VIPs arrive to drink, watch the games, and wager on who will come out on top. They also have no problem ordering the frontman around, showing that they're the ones who are really in charge here.
I just have to say that I'm a difficult man to please. I hope you won't disappoint me.
Jun-ho infiltrates the VIP area dressed as a server. One of the VIPs propositions him and takes him to a private room. Jun-ho attacks the VIP and holds him at gunpoint, forcing him to say on a recording what he knows about the games. Jun-ho then knocks out the VIP and escapes the island using scuba gear. After choosing numbers to determine what order they'll go in, the contestants are taken to a chamber with 2 rows of glass platforms over a large pit. With the first player's second jump, they discover that half the glass panels will break under a person's weight, causing them to fall. They have to decipher the path of the stronger glass platforms. The first 8 contestants all fall to their deaths, leaving number 9, Dok-soo, in front. He demands that the others go in front of him. A woman named Minyo, who had sparked a romantic relationship with Dok-soo, comes to the front and grabs onto him, forcing them to fall through the next breakable platform together. The player, who is 13th in the order, happens to be an experienced glass worker, so he uses his skills to identify the more stable panes. But then the frontman orders the lights turned off. Song-woo pushes that player to his death when he takes too long, revealing the last safe platform. 3 players ultimately get across: Song-woo, Se-byuk, and Gi-hun. But once they get to safety, the remaining glass platforms explode, seriously injuring Se-byuk. The 3 finalists are given tuxedos and taken to the Ppopgi game arena, where they're served a fancy dinner.
Tonight's feast is prepared as a token of gratitude for the sacrifice and effort that you finalists have made.
Se-byuk is clearly not well. She's bleeding to death from a stab wound from a shard of glass. All 3 are given their steak knives to use as weapons after dinner. Back in the living quarters, Gi-hun asks Se-byuk to team up against Song-woo. Se-byuk gets him to agree to something different though. Whoever between them survives has to look after the other's family. Gi-hun gets up to kill Song-woo, but Se-byuk stops him, saying that isn't who he is. So instead, Gi-hun goes to get help from the guards for Se-byuk's wound. By the time they get there, Song-woo has stabbed and killed Se-byuk. Enraged, Gi-hun tries to attack Song-woo, but is subdued by the guards. Now, there are 2. Jun-ho makes it to a nearby island, but the frontman and some guards quickly catch up. During a cat-and-mouse chase, Jun-ho repeatedly tries and fails to send the evidence he has collected back to the mainland. He's ultimately cornered on the edge of a cliff. After Jun-ho shoots the frontman in the shoulder, the mysterious figure removes his mask to reveal that he is Jun-ho's brother, In-ho.
Make this easy.
Jun-ho refuses to go with his brother, so In-ho shoots him in the shoulder too, knocking him off the cliff into the water. Back on the island where the games are being held, In-ho removes a bullet from his shoulder. He sees Jun-ho in front of him, asking him why he's in this situation, as a song that is something of a motif for In-ho, Fly Me to the Moon, plays. The final episode of the first season calls back to a prologue about the title Squid Game, which doesn't refer to the series of games as a whole, but to the final showdown. It's presented as another playground game, but in practice, it's a fight to the death.
So any kind of violence is allowed?
Sure, there are no restrictions.
Gi-hun and Song-woo brutally beat and try to stab each other, but in the end, Gi-hun gets the upper hand. He refuses to kill Song-woo though, instead trying to call for another vote to end the games, thus forfeiting the prize money. Song-woo won't allow that though, and stabs himself to give Gi-hun the victory. The frontman accompanies a blindfolded Gi-hun home in a limousine, encouraging him to celebrate. Instead, Gi-hun asks why the games exist. The frontman explains,
We bet on humans. You're our horses.
Gi-hun is dumped out on a rainy street with a bank card in his mouth that gives him access to an account with the prize money. He goes home to discover that his mother has died while he's been away playing the games. Overcome with guilt, Gi-hun refuses to spend his prize money over the following year, allowing his hair and beard to become unkempt. He gets an invitation from Gangbu, asking him to come to a skyscraper the night of Christmas Eve. He arrives to find Il-nam, still alive but on his deathbed. In addition to admitting he created the games, Il-nam tries to get Gi-hun to bet on whether a drunk man on the street will get any help before midnight. Il-nam also explains why he played in the games a year before, to have some fun before he died. Just before the clock strikes midnight, Il-nam dies and the police help the freezing man outside.
Look at that. There's someone who cares.
Gi-hun not only gets a haircut, but gets his hair dyed fiery red. He finds Se-byuk's little brother and arranges for Song-woo's mother to care for him, providing them with a suitcase full of money. He books a plane ticket to Los Angeles, where his daughter now lives. On the way to the airport, he sees the recruiter playing the Ppopgi slap game with someone else. The recruiter slips away, but Gi-hun stops the player and takes away the business card he was given. While boarding the plane, Gi-hun calls the number on the card. He tells a voice on the other end that he's going to find the people behind the games and expose them. The front man then gets on the line and tells Gi-hun to just get on the plane, implying that he's being monitored. Gi-hun turns and walks out.
You can hide all you want, but I swear I'll find you.
Gi-hun goes into a convenience store bathroom and uses a box cutter to remove a tracking device from behind his ear. Meanwhile, Jun-ho awakens from a coma, having been saved from the water by a shrimp boat captain. 2 years pass. Jun-ho returns to his job in the police department, but he chooses to work in traffic enforcement.
The evidence in our department is always very clear. Huh? Not wearing a helmet, going over the limit, ignoring a signal.
All the evidence he collected about the games was lost because his phone was destroyed. No one in the department believes his story, and he was almost fired for just disappearing. He occasionally goes out with the boat captain who saved him, Captain Park, to try to find the island where the games are played. Gi-hun, meanwhile, has holed up in a hotel he has turned into a fortress. He keeps all his prize money there, in cash. Gi-hun has hired his old loan shark, Mr. Kim, and a group of his employees to track down the recruiter. After a long search, they finally do find him, and not only playing Ppopgi in the subway, but also cruelly taunting unhoused people in a park. Mr. Kim and his right-hand man, Woo-sok, try to capture the recruiter, but they get beaten and abducted themselves. The recruiter forces them to play rock, paper, scissors to the death, and Mr. Kim purposefully loses, so the recruiter shoots and kills him. Gi-hun returns to his hideout to find the recruiter there waiting for him. The recruiter reveals that he was once a guard in the games, first clearing away the bodies of dead players, then shooting them when they lost. 1 year he had to kill his own dad. The recruiter says that he convinced himself to do it by thinking that everyone in the games was trash, not a person. The recruiter challenges Gi-hun to a game of Russian roulette. Gi-hun accepts. At one point, the recruiter tries to convince Gi-hun to cheat and simply turn the gun on him.
If you do, though, you'll have to admit one thing to me. You're trash and just as worthless as everyone else.
Gi-hun insists on playing fair and tells the recruiter that he could also cheat, but the recruiter has to admit something to him, that he's just an obedient lapdog. The recruiter shoots himself and loses the game. Immediately afterward, Jun-ho finds Gi-hun. Woo-sok is also there, apparently having been brought to the hotel by the recruiter. They find an invitation to a Halloween party in the recruiter's jacket. There's some initial confusion about whether Gi-hun and Jun-ho can trust each other, but Jun-ho reveals that he and Gi-hun have met before, both on and off the island where the games are played. He doesn't reveal, however, that the frontman is In-ho. Along with Woo-sok, they put together a strike team, which they arm with automatic rifles. A dentist replaces one of Gi-hun's teeth with a false tooth, equipped with a tracking device. Knowing that he may be gone for a while, Gi-hun surreptitiously calls his daughter and tries to reunite Se-byuk's brother with his mother, who's in North Korea. At the Halloween party, Gi-hun encounters a number of pink uniformed guards. They lead him to a limousine where he talks to the frontman over an intercom. He first asks for the games to end once and for all. When the frontman refuses and the strike team fails to get him back, Gi-hun tries another strategy.
Let me play the game again.
You want to play again?
I want you to send me in there again.
Just like that, Gi-hun gets gassed and sent back to the island. Gi-hun once again wakes up in the dormitory, wearing the tracksuit of player 456. The other 455 players are all new, including a mother and son, Goomja and Yongsik, a rapper nicknamed Thanos, a trans woman named Shunju, and Gi-hun's old friend, the bar owner, Jungbei. A new clause has been added to the contract this time, that if the players vote to end the games, they'll divide the prize money equally. The first game is once again red light, green light. As the game begins, Gi-hun discovers that the tracker in his tooth has been removed, meaning his strike team can't find him. He warns all the other players that they're going to be shot if they lose the game. When this is proven to indeed be the case, the players listen, and only 91 are eliminated. As the clock runs out, Gi-hun and Shunju try to save one player who was only injured, but he's shot and killed, even past the finish line. The pink guard who shoots that player is No-eul, a North Korean defector who wants to extract her daughter from there as well. Before the games begin, while sleeping in her car, she's given a card similar to the one the players get, but this one's an offer to be a guard. She resigns from her job as a theme park mascot and makes her way to the island. While working at the theme park, No-eul gets to know a caricature artist named Kyung-sok, whose young daughter has blood cancer. Unable to afford his daughter's treatment, Kyung-sok enters the games. No-eul recognizes him during red light, green light, and seems to want to protect him as the games progress. No-eul later shoots and kills another non-fatally wounded player who loses a game. It's revealed that there's yet another organ harvesting operation among the guards in the 2024 games, and No-eul is hampering it by killing players. She's assaulted by 2 other guards, and her superior officer, who was known for 7 years, warns her as well.
I told you not to interfere if you weren't going to assist us.
After red light, green light, the players are, as promised, given a chance to vote to end the games. During the vote, Gi-hun makes an impassioned plea for his fellow contestants to stop and go home because they'll otherwise all die. But he's hit with accusations that he's a plant put there to confuse and scare them. It all comes down once again to a single deciding vote from player 1. As he casts his vote to stay, meaning the games will continue, the new player 1 is revealed to be Jun-ho himself.
If one of these people ran into me years from now, do you think they'd say they were happy I voted to go?
When Gi-hun talked to Jun-ho in person after winning the 2020 games, Gi-hun was blindfolded, so he doesn't recognize him as the frontman. Jun-ho tells the other players his name is Oh-young-il, and quickly forms a strategic bond with Gi-hun, just like Il-nam did. Meanwhile, Jung-bae, a former Marine, becomes something of a mentor for a younger ex-Marine, Dae-ho. In an attempt to gain trust, Gi-hun informs some of the other players that the next game was a Ppopgi game when he played the first time. But when the players are taken to a similar but also notably different arena, Gi-hun realizes the game isn't going to be the same this time. Instead, they're told to get into groups of 5 and tie their legs together like in a 3-legged race. Each member of the team has to succeed in one of the 5 playground games: Ppopgi, stone throwing, a pickup game similar to Jack's, spinning top, and a hacky sack type game involving a palm within a 5-minute time limit. Every team fails until the team that includes Geumja, Yongsik, and Shunju manages to succeed. This inspires some other teams to win. Gi-hun's team, which also includes Jun-ho, Jung-bae, Dae-ho, and a young woman named Jun-hee, only barely gets through after Jun-ho baubles the top throwing game a couple times. A total of 110 players die in the game, leaving 255. Upon seeing the prize pot grow, more players vote to keep the games going. Tension builds between the players who chose to stay and those who want to leave. They're given patches with an X or an O to wear, separating them into clear factions. Thanos, a big proponent of the O faction, also hassles Myungi, a YouTuber who defrauded him and others in a cryptocurrency scam.
Now I want compensation for the emotional damage you did.
The players are taken to a large, round room with a rotating floor and lots of multicolored doors for the next game, Mingle. In the game, an announcer calls out a number. Players have to assemble into groups of that number and get into one of the small rooms behind the doors within 30 seconds. Anyone who isn't in a room or who is in a group that isn't the right number when the timer stops is shot. At one point, Geumja and Yongsik get separated, but they both survive. Jun-ho shows his true colors for a moment, killing another player, so there aren't too many people in his room. One of Shunju's closest friends, Youngmi, is killed in the game. Many others are too, leaving only 100 players. The next vote on whether to stay or leave results in a 50-50 tie. The guards announce that there will have to be a second vote the next day, as more animosity grows between the X and O factions and people try to bully others into changing their vote. A fight breaks out in the bathroom, leading to Myungi killing Thanos with a fork. 5 people are ultimately killed in the bathroom brawl. Realizing that more violence is likely to break out during the night, Gi-hun organizes a group that will use the distraction of the fighting to start a rebellion against the game's organizers.
We'll need our own guns to fight back.
But we don't have any guns.
We'll just take theirs.
As predicted, many more people are killed throughout the night, leading the guards to eventually enter and stop the violence. Gi-hun's group hides and plays dead until finding an opening to attack the guards and take their guns. Having lost their ability to track Gi-hun, Jun-ho and his team of mercenaries continue to search for the island by other means. Using a drone, they discover a cave system on an island that they think looks suspicious. A group goes to the island to investigate, but it turns out to be a trap. When they open a hatch in the ground, it explodes. Soon after, it's revealed that Captain Park has been a spy working for the frontman all along. The drone pilot catches him tampering with his drone, so Park kills him. Woo-sok spots Captain Park just after, and there's a sense that he's maybe suspicious of the captain's motives. Clearly, Captain Park has been sabotaging the team from the start, including telling the frontman about Gi-hun's tooth tracker. With a collection of guns stolen from the guards, Gi-hun asks any of the remaining players who can shoot to volunteer to fight in his rebellion. Seonju, who has a background in the Korean Special Forces, gives a brief training session to those who choose to fight. The rest, including Goomja and Young-sik, stay behind in the living quarters. The rebellion group gets into a firefight in a stairwell. Gi-hun orders them to stand their ground, while he and Young-bae attempt to reach the control room. Very quickly, the ammunition situation becomes dire. Seonju sends Dae-ho back to the dorms to get more ammo, but he is overcome by fear and doesn't come back. Seonju goes to get more ammo herself, but gets stuck in the dorm when more guards arrive. The remaining rebels in the stairwell run out of bullets, and many die. Young-sok is shot by a guard, but it's not clear if it's fatal. In-ho radios Gi-hun and leads Gi-hun to believe he's been killed in the firefight. Gi-hun and Jung-bae are captured by guards after they also run out of ammo. In-ho then arrives in his frontman mask and asks Gi-hun,
"Did you have fun playing the hero?"
He then shoots and kills Jung-bae, leaving Gi-hun screaming on the floor. In a post-credits scene, another robot similar to the red light green light doll is seen in the arena for that game.